Hello and welcome. My name is Rachel Coletta, and today I want to talk to you guys about the sensation or the description of taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, or the sensation that you're circling back around to things that you thought that you were past, and then it comes back up again and you just feel like you circled back around, right around the thing that you thought you released, the pattern, the hurt, the injury, whatever it is that you thought that you've let go of, and then there it comes back into your field. So these are slightly different sensations, but then also there's a lot of overlap. So we know this feeling very, very well, where, the 2 steps forward, 1 step back adage or saying that we use to describe that feeling, where it feels like you had this huge rush of forward progress or expansion, and then it seems like there was like this retraction, almost as though you were being pulled backwards and that forward movement was curtailed. So I want to explain to you in this video, along with a couple different metaphors or illustrations, what is actually going on here when we say these things to ourselves, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or I'm circling back around to the same situation or same pattern. What is actually happening and what is actually going on? I want to offer you guys a couple reframes that I hope will really help you to shift your perspective, feel a lot lighter about what's going on, understand better what's going on, and be able to work with those times when you feel that way. Because when we feel like we're in that backward step, or when we feel like we've come back around to something that we thought was, behind us, there's a tendency to self-punish, to self-flog, to not be very kind to ourselves in our self-talk, or our self-worth can drop and we think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just keep moving forward? There must be something that I'm doing incorrectly that's causing me to stumble or causing me to feel like I'm ending up right back where I started. And that is actually not what is happening at all. That's the big reveal right there. So in a universe that is constantly expanding, expansion is the rule. It is literally impossible for you to move backwards, for you to contract to a place of darkness where a light has been shown. Once that expansion has happened, then you have expanded, and you continue to expand from there. So you can think about this in each moment. Literally in every single second, in every nanosecond, in every now moment, we are expanding because we are bringing with us or leapfrogging off of the expanded perspective that we just came from. So in every now moment, we're bringing with us all of the knowledge, experience that we've gleaned from all of the now moments up until this now moment. So you're constantly expanding. It is literally impossible for you to move backwards. And I think that what is at the heart of potentially helping you guys understand this, or really letting this sink in, is playing with or understanding some of the concepts of how we perceive time in the 3rd dimensional reality. So obviously here we perceive time as linear. That is one perception of time. That is not everyone or all dimensional beings' perceptions of time. And also, time and space, of course, only exist within time and space. So outside of time and space is a construct. But from within time and space, it is very real. So this creates a bit of a paradox, or it requires a bit of and thinking. So time is a construct, and it's also incredibly real to those of us who are in time and are experiencing it. So let me get my whiteboard, and I am going to do some illustrations for you guys to help you understand what I'm talking about here and what exactly is going on when you feel that sensation of the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or the circling back around to a place you feel like you've already been, something you feel like you've already dealt with or released or let go. So I will be right back in just a moment. Okay, so for our first illustration here, we're going to be thinking of time as linear, which is not a stretch because this is how we usually think about time. But so you can see, here's the arrow, time is linear, we're moving forward. So what I have here is I've put some different points down, just like we're moving along these points on linear time. So we can think about these as sort of each segment here as sort of a level or a place that we've expanded into. So you can see when we first expand from, let's say, this level into this level, as we're moving down linear time, we're gonna hit a beginner phase. Then we're gonna hit a phase where we're more finding our stride. Then we're gonna hit a mastery phase. And then we're gonna project forward to an expanded, and even more expanded, sort of that big leap in expansion of perspective. Again, remember your perspective is always expanding, you're always expanding at every moment, but this is what feels like that leap when we're saying the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then what feels like the back is we land on the beginner level or the beginner stage of this next level of expansion. So what happens is when we land on this beginner level, or this new, fresh, unfamiliar level of this new place that we've projected ourselves towards, it's very common for us to feel out of sorts, for us to feel disoriented, for old coping mechanisms to come up, because we feel uncomfortable. We've really stretched our comfort zone. And then, over time, as we keep moving along, we reach more comfort. Then we reach this level of mastery where we really feel like we've got it figured out. And then we move forward again to the next beginner stage. So this is how it's been explained to me by my guides when that sensation of the 2 steps forward, 1 step back is coming. So this is not at all that you are moving backwards. There's no such thing as moving backwards or contracting or erasing a previous expansion there. Rather, what's happening is you've reached a level of mastery that has prompted you or signaled to your higher self that you are ready to move on to a whole different place. And when you first land in that new place, it's gonna feel a little bit scary and some old stuff might come up. It might be triggered. And that's why you're going to feel like you potentially took a step backwards, though you didn't. So this is really important to know, because when you understand what's going on here, you can really nurture yourself and understand that when you feel like this, it's simply because you've taken this huge quantum leap and your system isn't familiar with the energy that you've left into. So this is actually a time to be really gentle with yourself, just like you would treat, a beginner, a child in school, somebody who's just starting something, right? You wouldn't berate them or be hard on them if they were just starting out. Well, hopefully you never would, but particularly if they're just starting out and just learning something. So this is what's happening here, and this is why it's so important to be gentle and compassionate and understanding with yourself. Your system is going through an acclimation period. It's reacclimatizing to an entirely different energetic tapestry. So I hope that makes sense for you. So I'm going to clear off my whiteboard and I'm going to show you guys one more example that might challenge your perception of time a little bit beyond the linear. All right, so another way that we can look at time, another illustration that we can use is time as a spiral. And this is really helpful illustration to understand what's going on when we feel like we're circling back to patterns, ways of thinking, emotional reactions that we think that we've healed or transcended, but then we notice that after some time goes by, it comes back up. So let's say that you have a certain pattern of behaving a certain way in romantic relationships that you know isn't really serving you, and you know that this goes back to some childhood traumas, and you've worked with that and you've dealt with that and you've noticed a huge movement and a huge release. So here is that point in time. So again, time is a spiral. You're moving along the spiral. And let's say here's the point in time where you addressed that relationship issue. And then you noticed a huge release and relief as you expanded and expanded and expanded. And then you got back to this point and you notice that that got triggered again, and you feel like you literally feel like you've circled back around to the same pattern and it's coming back up, and you think that you've moved backwards, or that maybe you actually didn't do a good job on your healing or something like that, which is completely false. What is happening is you are now being given the opportunity to address that issue on an expanded level, on a deeper level with an expanded perspective. You can see through the time as the spiral how you're constantly expanding and circling back to different points. And each time you come up and butt up against that issue yet again, it is simply giving you the opportunity to bring a deeper level of understanding, a deeper level of healing, a deeper level of integration to that same pattern. So again, this is not an excuse or a reason to beat up on yourself, think that you've done something wrong, think that you should have done a better job. This is just simply the universe giving you an opportunity, your higher self giving you an opportunity to clear, to heal, to bring a deeper level of light and understanding and clearing to that pattern. So if you zoom in, so if we're going along on time here, if you zoom in on any portion of a curved line and you magnify that and you magnify that, it will begin to look straight. And I think that this is why we also can perceive time as linear, which isn't to say that the spiral is the be-all and end-all of explaining how time works. These are all just parables or metaphors to try to help our brain wrap around these concepts. So we know, like in calculus, with the rules of limits, where if the diameter of a curved line becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and goes down to zero, that the line is no longer curved. This is literally something that we study, in calculus. So if you think about yourself as moving along these points along the line and it seems like you're going straight, it's easy to get blindsided when you come back around to a similar trigger or issue or pattern. But simply realize that this is coming back up for you because you have expanded, you have broadened enough that it is worth it to you. You can actually bring a new perspective. It wouldn't serve your expansion to have you continue to relive a pattern from the same perspective. So if something's coming back around, that's actually a really good sign. That means that you've expanded enough to bring a new perspective to that pattern. So I hope that makes sense and gives you guys permission to give yourself some slack, and to really, when these things come back up, it's not a reason to feel bad about yourself. It's actually a reason to congratulate yourself. In the linear example, this means that you've projected yourself forward into a whole different energetic tapestry. That's cause for celebration. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but that's not because you're doing anything wrong. And it's the same here with the spiral example. If something is coming back up, it's because you have had this sizable expansion here that makes it worthwhile for you to have it come back up. So nothing is by accident. Nothing is here to punish you, and you are not getting it wrong. So that's really what I want to assure you guys today. And I hope that these examples, these illustrations, have helped make a little bit more sense of this for you guys. So if this video was helpful for you, I would love if you would like it and comment below and let me know how these patterns have showed up for you, and if looking at them in these ways has resulted in any shifts for you. And if you know of somebody who would be served or find a lot of value in changing their perspective in this regard, then I would encourage you to share the video with them. So thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I love you lots, and happy expanding. Until next time, bye.